Welcome to the Retro Video Store Podcast.
Welcome everyone to the Retro Video Store Podcast. I'm your host Eric.
Hi, Eric.
And that's my co-host Neil.
Hi, I'm a Neil, a monkey boy.
Laugh while you can, monkey boy.
And the who did not like this movie? Dave Little Booty.
Buckle up, Buckaroo.
Dave Smallberries.
Small twiggin berries.
David Yaya, whatever the names. So today we're going to talk about the adventures of Buckaroo Banzai across the 8th dimension. And this is the definition of a cult movie from the 80s. And first of all, this is the Retro Video Store Podcast, where three nerds talk about movies from the video store era. If you have not listened to us before, welcome. And we're just going to dissect this movie and make fun of it and enjoy it, what we liked, what we didn't like, and just kind of digress along the way in case you're the first time listener. But before we talk about the movie, we always talk to each other about what we watched during the week. So, David, what did you watch this week?
I watched the TV show Black Doves or something like that with Keira Knightley.
What channel is it on?
It was on Netflix.
Or, Netflix? Okay.
Yeah,
I hadn't even heard of it.
Yeah, I think it's a smaller production, but she played some spy, and it was like a 5-part miniseries. It wasn't bad. Yeah, watch that.
Recommended? Not recommended?
I mean, I liked it, but you won't. So
yeah, I have a tough time watching series. So yeah, really tough time.
It was fun. Neil, what did you watch? Almost a curveball.
I watched the new Wallace and Gromit movie, Vengeance Most Foul.
Was it good? They're always pretty funny.
Yeah, it was. It was really funny. I enjoyed it. It was a Wallace and Gromit movie. It's you just check out. I love I love all the built sets. I love stop motion for that reason. Just it's all hand done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's no Ray Harryhausen, but it's still pretty good and entertaining. Just a lot of late nights, so there wasn't tons. I would turn it on and catch like little bits of a lot of different films. Didn't even watch any TV shows, but I did sit down and watch that over the weekend. That's about it. And I love watching you squirm when we bury the lead on this. But Eric, what did you watch?
What did I watch? I watched The Return of Godzilla on Max. It is Max has all the Godzilla movies right now, or most of them, and they have two that have been really hard to find, or three that have been really hard to find. It's the Return of Godzilla from 1984, Godzilla versus Biollante from 89, and then Godzilla versus King Ghidorah from 91. So those are tough, kind of not really that common in streaming. And since Pluto TV lost the Godzilla channel, I watched The Return of Godzilla the other day, and it was pretty good. Kind of boring, to be honest with you. When it was like the first 45 minutes, you don't see Godzilla at all. It's just like ships being turned over and people screaming and, lots of underwater, like sonar footage and explanations and Cold War machinations and stuff like that. And you don't really get to see Godzilla until like a long time in, and he's eating nuclear power plants. So he's just walking up and just absorbing the cores of nuclear power plants. And the Godzilla suit is better than the ones from the 70s, but it's not very good. He has really dead eyes. They didn't do really any articulation in his eyes. So he looks like a stoner. He looks like he's always sleepy. So look up the Return of Godzilla suit, and it's pretty funny. He looks really kind of like checked out. They do much better in the next movie, Godzilla vs. Biollante. They add a lot more detail in his eyes and stuff like that one. But this one, it just he looks kind of silly. Looks like he's
he looks like he's baked.
Like he's on some Dramamine, or he just smoked a bowl, or that the nuclear reactor just gave him a total high or something like that. He looks a little on the baked side.
Oh, I just found the Stuff of Nightmares. It's what the suits look like after they've kind of corroded and come
Yeah,
apart.
it's sad how much they degrade after a while, since they're, made from plastics and rubber and things like that. The only one that's really stood up was the Mechagodzilla suit from '74, still intact compared to the other ones. But yeah, they look sad. It's just like if you look up the it was a Hoggle from the Labyrinth. If you look at the way his suit deteriorated, it's scary, man. It's like something out of like you said, out of nightmares. Super scary looking. They have it somewhere on the interwebs. It's scary to look up.
Oh, good God. Hoggle's seen some better days.
Yeah, he looks pretty bad.
Bad case of like puppet leprosy.
There is a YouTube channel that I really, really love. It's called James Whale Bake Sale, and it's like a couple minute snippets of people talking about movies, and there's a lot of them with Bill Hader and Quentin Tarantino and Bill Burr and stuff talking about their favorite movies. And I went on a deep dive and just watched a shitload of those the other day, and it makes me want to watch a lot of movies I haven't seen in a while. But yeah, that's I really went down the rabbit hole and watched a bunch of those. And I watched a ton of supplementary material on Buckaroo Banzai, probably at least 2 hours of making of and retrospectives and talking to the cast and the directors and stuff. So I've really dived into this movie because I forgot how much I loved this movie. I hadn't seen it in probably a good 6-7 years, and I really, really liked it. But let's hear the converse. David, what did you think of this movie when you watched it for the first time?
I hated it. I hate this movie.
Defend yourself.
Maybe I'll give it another chance, but I had a hard time getting into it right away. I'm not going to lie. I think the beginning of it, I just couldn't. There was just, I don't know. I couldn't get into it.
This is one of those movies that really grows on you. The more you watch it, the more you see crazy stuff that goes on in the background, the more you pay attention to the dialogue and the weird shit they say and the weird reactions that people have and just the weird stuff that's going on. And this, I'm going to paraphrase a review I saw. This is a movie about a nerd, written by a nerd for nerds. So this is really summarizes what this movie is.
But Buckaroo's not a nerd. He drives a jet car. He's a brain surgeon. He's the leader of one of the hardest rockin' bar bands in all of East Texas.
Yes, I linked a advertisement that I remember seeing months in advance in comic books, and it really made me want to see this movie. If you want to read the taglines in the comic ad here, Neil.
Buckaroo who? The designer and driver of the jet car, a vehicle able to roar unharmed through solid matter. Buckaroo who? An expert in martial arts, particle physics, and fluent in a dozen languages. Buckaroo who? An extraordinary brain surgeon. Buckaroo who? Leader of the Hong Kong Cavaliers, one of the toughest, most popular, hard-rocking bar bands in East Texas. Join Team Banzai, the Hong Kong Cavaliers, and the astounding Blue Blaze Irregulars in their action-packed assault against the evil Lectoids from Planet 10. Experience the horrors deep within the slimy walls of Yoyodyne propulsion systems. Thrill to the sights and sounds trapped in the mysterious, formless void of the 8th dimension. Be there as Buckaroo fights against impossible odds to rescue Penny Pretty from the hateful Dr. Lizardo, the diabolically possessed alien dictator from outer space.
Heck yeah. When I was nine.
I'm down for all those.
Hell yeah. When I was 9, I was like, holy shit, this movie sounds amazing. I cannot wait to see it. Another movie that they used to have a lot of advertisement for that was not very good was Megaforce. Remember Megaforce?
All I remember from Megaforce was they had those ridiculous skin-tight outfits. And for some reason, if you put your hand on the paint job of the vehicle, the paint would disappear.
Mm-hmm.
and then they take it off, and I'm like, what the hell good is that? What are you going to do? Like, everyone's going to get out and touch your car to hide it, and then it just pops right back up?
I just remember the flying motorcycle or whatever from Megaforce.
And then for no reason, headbands.
Yeah, everybody had a headband. Even Buckaroo Banzai has a headband in this one. So
yeah, his was oh my god, like what's the phrase in Japanese? It means like it's like a beautiful existence, to have like a beautiful. It's like a kind of like a kamikaze kind of thing, like had to have a beautiful existence.
Wow, Neil included a picture of the deteriorated Godzilla suit. Looks pretty sad. Looks like a bear trap or something.
Yeah, that's a lot of metal. Looks like a lot of steel inside that thing. That could not have been light.
I wonder what suit that is specifically. The teeth make it look like it's from the late 70s, like Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, where his teeth were sharper, or Godzilla versus Gigan or something.
I like how this turns into like a forensic cop show with Eric. Well, judging by the teeth and the amount of deterioration.
Well, his teeth were much sharper in these later movies than the last part of the first original series. Do you want to hit us with the Internet Movie Database tagline for Buckaroo Banzai?
Yeah, it's not going to top the frickin' poster. I will tell you this. Adventurer, brain surgeon, rock musician, Buckaroo Banzai and his crime-fighting team, the Hong Kong Cavaliers, must stop evil alien invaders from the 8th dimension who are planning to conquer Earth. And why would they be the fucking Hong Kong Cavaliers? He's half Japanese. They even go out of their way to like have him throw in like random ass Japanese words, like, okay, penny pretties over there. And then he says it like he'd never heard Japanese in life. Arigato.
The funny thing is, I think we've mentioned this in like some of our other comments about 80s movies. As long as if it was quasi Asian, they didn't really care. They just threw everything together. It was Hong Kong, Japan, whatever. We don't care. It's Asian, so we'll just kind of mishmash it together and not really care whether if people notice or not. Just throw it all against the wall.
And see what sticks, and sometimes it's brown.
So this was directed by W.D. Richter, who was responsible for writing a lot more movies than he directed. He wrote a movie called Slither, 1973, which is a comedy movie called Nickelodeon. And then he did Invasion of the Body Snatchers from 1978, which is a really good one. And he did this 1979 version of Dracula with Frank Langella and Donald Pleasance. And that was not too bad. A movie called Brewbreaker, which I don't remember. I know the name of the movie, and it's got Robert Redford. A movie called All Night Long, which seems like a sex comedy, but it's got Barbara Streisand, Diane Ladd, Dennis Quaid. Then a movie called Hard Feelings, which looks weird. Then The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension, which he directed but didn't write. Then he did Big Trouble in Little China, which John Carpenter directed, but he wrote. And he wrote a Needful Things adaptation for Stephen King in '93. So he's got an interesting filmography. The writer was a guy named Earl MacRoch. Roch. And he did New York with Martin Scorsese, a movie called A Stranger is Watching, which is a film directed by Sean Cunningham, who directed Friday the 13th in 1982. He did Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai. Then he did a movie called Wired, and it was a quasi biography of John Belushi that everybody absolutely hated and they buried, and it pretty much killed his career. And it had Michael Chiklis playing John Belushi in it. I never saw it. I remember seeing the box at the video store and like a preview, but I never watched it. Did you ever see it, Neil?
No, I never saw it. I remember the box. I remember hearing of it, and now that you're saying Michael Chiklis, I'm having a really hard time picturing him as John Belushi.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we just need to find kind of a stocky dude to be, hey, look, Chiklis, come here.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, your name sounds like gum. I can never hear that without
Chiclets.
yes.
Chiclets. So this was released on August 10th of 1984. I did not see this in theaters, but I saw this 50 times on HBO as a kid.
Bringing up
At least.
Bringing up the cable. What a dick.
Yeah. I mean, I watched this all the time. And this is one of the movies that my mom actually kind of liked too, which is rare for my mom to like any science fiction kind of movie, but she liked Dr. Lizardo and talk about the joy of duty and all this kind of stuff like that. She's always thought that was really funny. And
when are we going to get there? Real soon.
She thought he was really funny. And so she kind of liked it as well. But we watched this movie a lot. And it had a budget of $17 million, which is a lot back in 1984, but only made $6 million at the box office. So any chances of a sequel were quickly squashed.
Yeah, I did my bit for King and Country with this movie. I saw it in the theater.
Awesome. Yeah. And one thing I love about the movie is that it's got a very lived in kind of quality. You know, there's lots of shit going on in the background. They did a lot of stuff on production design. There's like all the signs inside Yoda Yodine are funny, like secret and the way they're spelled, you know, and it's just a lot of stuff. They did a lot of attention to detail. That's because they spent 2 years working on the look of the movie. And there's like a 300-page Bible that the writer and the director had of certain things that had to be kind of in the movie. And the writer had written at least 30 scripts with Buckaroo Bandy. It was the name of the hero that he came up with, but then got changed to Banzai. And he would write a script and started, but he could never finish them. So he had a bunch of like background stuff for Buckaroo Banzai. And they allude to it a lot, to the death of his wife, the death of his parents, that there's this really bad guy named I can't remember the name. It's like an Asian name for a bad guy that they talk about a couple of times. And the thing I love about the movie is they just drop you into it. They don't explain shit. They just kind of like, this is the world you're in. This is what's going on. This is what's happening.
You're about to watch the the world's fastest Ford F-350 drive through a fucking mountain.
I know. And I know this is bad storytelling, but I love a movie with an opening crawl, with an opening like exposition. Oh. I just love it. I know it's terrible storytelling, but like,
don't you fucking disrespect the opening crawl?
Like Star Wars and Legend and Dune, and there's just tons of movies that have exposition at the front, and I just love it. I love that kind of stuff. As a kid, I just thought, man, they're really dropping us in here.
Well, which one of those did we watch recently that had the longest crawl ever? Weren't we commenting? It was like during.
Oh my
Turkey
God!
Month?
It was. It was the Alone in the Dark. No, it was not Alone in the Dark. It was the
Christian Slater movie.
Christian Slater movie. Yeah.
Yeah, had the long.
Yeah, it was Alone in the Dark.
Super long crawl.
Yeah, it's a super long crawl, and they got nuttier and nuttier as it kept going. You're like, what? Am I supposed to take notes? What the fuck's going on here?
Yeah.
Feels like one of those things they would do in high school. Like, okay, we've read this whole thing to you now. What was the third word in the fourth sentence? Shit, they didn't pay that close attention. And we can't mention that movie without talking about Kristen Slater doing karate.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. That was so bad. So bad. That movie was terrible. Terribly awesome in a way, but terrible, just in a general sense. This movie is not terrible though. This movie is fucking awesome, and I will stand by it. David, I know you think it sucked, but you need to give it another chance because it is funny as shit.
I will not do that.
We've got to stop. We have to stop the lectoid on lectoid violence, guys.
Like they're in their lab, and there is like grapefruits all over the place for no reason. They're just fucking grapefruits all over there. There's like, what's that watermelon for? Well, I'll tell you later. And they never tell you. They never tell you.
So that was one thing. Sammy, as we're sitting here watching it, she's like, you know what? I'm just going to read you some trivia. And it's one of those things like, honestly, I just really wanted to watch the movie because I was having fun. It's just so fucking stupid. It's great. So apparently that was like a thing, like the producers and the crew weren't getting, there was something with the producers and the production crew or something. They weren't getting along. So they just wrote the script in because they weren't communicating with each other, just wrote in that there was going to be this like watermelon, didn't tell them. And then they ended up doing it. And we're like, yeah, hell, we win.
Yeah. Cause they were like, they would write stuff and the producer would get mad and throw it out. So they would just throw like a bunch of asides and weird stuff in there, and they kept that one in there for some reason, and they were sure that he was going to throw it out. I was like, "What's that watermelon for?" Well, I'll explain it to you later. But there was so much thought into everything, like just little things in the background that make me laugh. Like one of the red electroids is just sucking on a lantern battery. He's got like this metal straw, and he's just sucking on a lantern battery for absolutely no reason. And then
all the weird shit, like he's sitting there talking, his hands are pumping back and forth.
Yeah, and he's got really long fingers that shake
shake all the time.
And when he's in the back of the bus, like I was telling you right before, the guy John, or what's his name, keeps looking back at him. He's like,
yeah.
The camera hands are shaking, and the camera pans in. You can tell he's wearing isotoner gloves with like alien hands glued on top.
Yeah, I love it though. That's the coolest part. They just did all the stuff, like the glasses that they see the message from the leader. They're just fucking bubble wrap with little screens on them, over the like little clear glasses part. It's just so funny.
Yeah, but they spent 2 years coming up with that. Like,
and time well spent. Even the fact he's like, do you guys mind with the cross chatter? I'm really trying to listen to this. Do you guys mind? That was fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's so funny. And the aliens are always eating junk food. They're like eating Fritos and fiddle faddle, and just this. They're just like hanging around the place like it's a frat house or something. That Yo-Yo-Dine. There's a shitload of lava lamps on the table. There's like 50 lava lamps for no reason. It's just all this weird shit that's going on in the background that is just hilarious. And it's full of character actors that went on to do major stuff. I mean, it's just a murderer's row of good character actors. Peter Weller, of course, this is pre RoboCop, but Peter Weller's had a hell of a career. And he just, RoboCop is always his most famous movie, I think. But he was in a lot of other things, and the way he sells it, he's so serious in this movie and so deadpan. It's hilarious. Just the way he delivers his lines.
Dave, are you drinking out of one of those things they give you in the hospital that measures your fluid intake?
Yeah.
Fucking A, you kept that? That's awesome.
I fill it with ice and water.
That's awesome. You're like, God damn it, I had surgery. I paid for this. I'm hanging on to it.
It's a free cup. Well, I paid a lot for this cup, actually.
Yeah, you paid a lot for that.
Most expensive cup you've ever had.
Yeah. So cheers.
Yeah. And by the way, could you get better? It's like the whole fucking state's on fire right now. Fucking lazy ass just sitting there. Oh, I had surgery. Come on, man.
Would you be deployed, do you think, to California right now if you were in working shape?
Yeah. They asked if I wanted to go, but yeah, I can't carry the weight anything yet. So, but yeah, they asked if I could.
Bummer. Well, going back to the cast, you got John Lithgow as Dr. Emilio Lizardo and Lord John Worfen, and John Lithgow, I remember him first from The World According to Garp, where he played like a trans woman, who used to be a football player or whatever. And that movie was really just a mind-blowing movie to me when I was a kid. But I remember him in that movie, and then to see him in this one, it's just hilarious to see the difference in it. And then Ellen Barkin is Penny Pretty. Jeff Goldblum is New Jersey. Christopher Lloyd is John Big Booty. And then you just have so many. Pepe Cerna is Reno. Clancy Brown is Rawhide. Also from the Highlander, and
Kurgan.
Also the voice. Yeah, and the voice
Kurgan.
of Mr. Krabs on SpongeBob. It's just Dan Haida, Vincent Chiavelli, Jonathan Banks. Pre Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul was the hospital orderly that Lizardo kills. Yakov Smirnov is in there. Is the national security advisor. Billy Vera from Billy Vera and the Beaters is part of the the Hong Kong Cavaliers. Yeah, it's just full of just character actors.
Can I say that?
Sorry, man. I'm just you talking about all the wacky stuff that was going on. I just remember when they're at the psychiatric hospital and they're like, lithium is no longer available on credit.
Yes, it's always such crazy crap going on. You know,
sorry,
the Monkey Boys have entered the base.
I'm sorry, Dave. It's just all this shit going through my head thinking about it.
Well, you're talking about crazy and character actors. I thought John Lithgow was crazy in this movie. And there was like sometimes I think when he would turn his head or certain movements that he could have crossed for Christopher Walken at some point with some of his like, I don't know. Anybody agree with me, or am I the only one that with his
a little bit with the hair? The hair was kind of Walken-ish.
Yeah, Walken-ish, and the teeth was kind of. I guess it made me think of Christopher Walken in Sleepy Hollow, the way he was.
Yeah, with his teeth.
Yeah.
A part of my time watching this, the extras and kind of like the supplementary stuff is this movie got saved in the some film society saved it as a preserved it as a great film, and Kevin Smith does like a 15-minute monologue about how much he loves this movie, and Peter Weller and John Lithgow are there watching him. And then when he's done talking, they both go, I've never heard anybody sum the movie up so succinctly for us, because I love this movie, but I just didn't really know what it was and why people liked it. But Kevin Smith summed it up so well that it's in its own thing. And I've kind of paraphrased him a little bit too. It's just its own thing. It doesn't explain shit to you. It just drops you in and you're expected to go with it. You know?
Yeah. Who are you today, Doc? Einstein? Lord John Dwarfin. If there's one thing I hate, is to be mistaken for somebody else. It just so much good shit in this movie.
Do you want to hit us with the critical consensus? There's some interesting opinions on it.
I would imagine. Although reportedly dismissed by many critics as strange and unintelligible at the time of its release, the film received positive reviews from 66% of 44 surveyed critics on Rotten Tomatoes, and the critical consensus on Rotten Tomatoes reads, sci-fi parodies like these usually struggle to work, but Buckaroo Banzai succeeds through total devotion to its own lunacy. Bill Cosford of the Miami Herald praised it as an unusual film. Its comedy springs from that odd combination of self-effacement and self-absorption. It's basically a comic strip and relentlessly hip. An adventure in the Buck Rogers mold. Dave Kerr in the Chicago Reader wrote, Richter seems to have invented an elaborate mythology for his hero, but he never bothers to explicate it. The film gives you the mildly annoying sensation of being left out of a not very good private joke. Danny Perry's 1986 guide for the film fanatic described Buckaroo Banzai as scatterbrained, sloppily made science fiction comedy for the stoned-out generation, a surprising failure when hip audiences were turned off by the concealed attempt by filmmakers and actors to show off how hip they were. This man also later that year won the award for using the word hip as many times as possible in a sentence. In his review for the New York Times, Vincent Canby wrote that Buckaroo Banzai may well turn out to be a pilot film for other theatrical features, though this one would be hard to top for pure nutty fun. Well, it looks like Mr. Canby got it. Richard Corliss for Time wrote, its creators, Earl Mac Roch and W.D. Richter, propelled their film with such pace and far-fetched style that anyone without PhDs in astrophysics and pop culture is likely to get lost in the ganglion of story strands. One wonders if the movie is too ambitious, facetious, and hip for its own box office good. The New Yorker film critic Pauline Kael wrote, I didn't find it hard to accept the uninflected deadpan tone to enjoy Buckaroo Banzai for its inventiveness and the gags that bounce off other adventure movies or other comedies. The picture's sense of fun carried me along.
Pauline Kael with a rare positive review.
Yeah. Danny Bowes, writing a retrospective in 2011 for Tor.com, said the film is paradoxically decades ahead of its time and yet completely of its time. It's profoundly a movie. What a fucking sense. It's like the same thing, but different. It's profoundly a movie by far and of, for, and geeks and nerds at a time before geek and nerd culture was mainstreamed, and a movie whose pre-CG special effects and pre-computer age production design were an essential part of its good-natured enthusiasm. What at the time was a hip modern take on classic sci-fi is now almost indistinguishable from the sci-fi cinema that inspired it in terms of the appeal to modern viewers. The charmingly old-fashioned special effects and comparatively innocent earnestness of its tone. So in its legacy, Buckaroo Banzai has since attracted a loyal cult following that has been popular on home video. Richter said, yeah, it has had the most dramatic reactions of anything I've worked on. Some loathe it, Dave, and others are willing to die for it, Eric. The director feels that the film failed commercially because the narrative was too complex. He would have liked it to have had more coverage for certain scenes and felt he could have edited the film better. Or there were too many master shots and two shots that left little for the editor to work with. Wired magazine in 2009 celebrated the 25th anniversary of the release of a film near and dear to many geeks who came of age in the 80s. The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension was a great, adventurous, geeky movie with enough silly science fiction and great characters to fill any three lousy summer blockbusters these days, and it gave us so many great geeky lines to quote. Bill Cosford, in his 1984 Miami Herald review, had foreseen the dialogue's popularity. I suspect that Buckaroo's odd musings, particularly the one about being there no matter where you go, are about to enter the popular argot of the scale of where's the beef. His prediction had proved right. Entertainment Weekly rated Buckaroo Banzai as number 43 on their top 50 cult movies. The film was also ranked number 21 on the magazine's The Cult 25, the essential left field movie hits since 1983 list. And The Guardian has also cited Buckaroo Banzai as one of their 1,000 films to see before you die.
Yes. Yeah, I just love everything about it. It is so fun. I love, like I said, the set design, the acting. It's just so deadpan, but also just kind of like self-aware at the same time. It's wonderful. I love a good opening crawl, like I said. I wrote, bad storytelling, question mark? I say no. I like, and they were talking about some of the alternative titles for other adventures of Buckaroo Banzai movies. One was like, get the jet car, says the president, a Buckaroo Banzai thriller. Oh yeah, find the jet car, said the president, a Buckaroo Banzai thriller. Yeah. That would be pretty awesome. And the other one was called The Strange Case of Mr. Cigars, about a huge robot in a box of Adolf Hitler cigars. It's another concept for another of the. There was actually a book that came out, I think, 2 years ago. It's the sequel, Buckaroo Banzai Against the World Crime League. So it makes me kind of want to buy it so I can read it and see if it's any good or not. But it's directed by the same writer. I mean, it was written by the same writer of the screenplay. And there's comic books that kind of flesh out the story as well. And I remember seeing the actual, whenever a movie came out, there was always a comic adaptation of the movie. I remember like reading Star Wars from Marvel, and there was Krull, and then there was like Indiana Jones movies. I remember reading the Buckaroo Banzai comic.
Well, those are fantastic because you could get a hold of them before the movie came out.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, totally.
And you would know what happened in the whole movie, and you could mess with your friends like, oh yeah, I'm pretty sure I know what's going to happen. I don't want to see that movie.
Yeah, so this is the plot is, like they said, it's kind of hard to describe. I was trying to tell Jamie about the movie. He's like, what is the movie about? I've never seen it. And I'm like, well, it's about this guy. He's super cool. He's a surgeon. He's a rock star. He's a scientist. And he takes his car through a mountain and inadvertently goes into the eighth dimension where he makes contact with these lectroids who earlier in 1938, this doctor got stuck in a wall and got possessed by by Lord Warfin. She's like, yeah, I don't want to see this. I'm like, great. Thanks, honey.
I can imagine the conversation. No, stick with me, babe. Stick with me.
Yeah.
So he gets possessed, and then
Yeah.
he goes to the Trenton home. Goes to the Trenton home for the criminally insane, while his partner goes on to mentor Buckaroo Banzai.
Yes.
Yeah. Eric's got a cup of coffee in his hand, just walking behind him, and she's walked off, and he's following behind him. He's like, no, listen. So then it goes like this.
And there's the black Lectroids who are running the planet after banishing the red Lectroids to the 8th dimension. And they want to start
love that the black Lectroids are Jamaican.
Yes, I love that. It's so awesome.
Is it okay? Is it okay to call a black Lectroid a black Lectroid?
So at the beginning of the movie, you see, I mean, there was an alternate cut title sequence where Jamie Lee Curtis plays Buckaroo's mom, and she and Buckaroo's dad, who is Japanese, get killed testing the jet car. And they filmed it, but they cut it out. And you can watch it on like some supplemental material from one of the DVD releases. And the bad guy is Hanoi Jean is the bad guy from the World Crime League that they mentioned, who killed Buckaroo's wife that Penny looks exactly like. So there's lots of deep shit going on that we're supposed to follow. Yeah. I just love the visuals when the jet car goes through the mountain.
I love when it's hauling ass, and then you look at everybody who's standing there watching it, and they're all vibrating at high speed because they've had to speed up that F-350. It was so badass.
Yeah, it was amazing, and I like there's like all sorts of stuff flying around. It looks like a weird fetus flying around the 8th dimension, and there's this weird brain-looking thing that gets stuck at the bottom of the car when he gets out of the mountain, which you don't really explain. You don't really see that. It doesn't really come to play anymore in the movie. Just that he pulled this life from the 8th dimension when he went through it, and he's trying to explain how in solids there's all this matter that is not compressed or whatever. Yep. I do like when they do the how Dr. Lizardo makes himself remember 1938 with the little shock treatment thing they had on his tongue.
That was so good. He had a really nice roomy place there at the Trenton home for the criminally insane.
He pretty much had like his own floor. All the Fritos and fiddle faddle he could eat. And they took his TV away because he was using so much energy at the home. If you see Jonathan Banks, he looks so young in this movie. It would hard to believe that he's Mike in Breaking Bad in Better Call Saul, kind of like ex-cop enforcer guy.
Still never seen Breaking Bad.
Oh, so good. That's one of the few series that I watched from beginning to end and really, really loved.
Everyone finds out you're from New Mexico. They're like, oh, you must have watched Breaking Bad. Like, no, I grew up around people cooking meth and using meth. Like, I don't need to watch a show about it.
Well, it makes you miss home. It makes you miss all those areas in Albuquerque that, that they lived. I read a thing where the person who owns Walter White's house in Albuquerque is selling it. And they want to sell it for $4 million. They're never going to get that much money in Albuquerque for it because it's such a tourist attraction, and people are always throwing pizzas on top of the roof because there's a scene in one of the seasons where he gets pissed off and he just kind of throws everything in the air and this pizza lands on the roof. The people are throwing pizzas on his roof over and over again. But there's a tour that you can take in Albuquerque. So
I take my own tour. I go Duran Station, Los Cuates. I go hit an Allsips. I drive by where
burger,
Uncle
Wex.
Oh my God. A lot of burger and Wex. Here's Marty Chavez's house. He's the mayor. He's always the mayor.
He's always the mayor, eh? Or what? So I like Monkey Boy. Laugh while you can, the monkey boy. The Hong Kong Cavaliers.
What is it? Is John O'Connor? They're only monkey boys. We can crush them here on Earth, Lord Porfin.
I just love over the air. Monkey boys have entered the compound. In the miserable annals of the earth. Yeah, such a goddamn good movie. Ellen Barkin, pretty hot, even though I'm not a big short hair fan, but she was pretty cute. I don't know what their getup was with the clothes she was wearing at the end of the movie. Was it like shorts? Was it a dress? It was a little odd.
You have to take that up with the production design, honestly.
Yeah. What kind of music would you qualify, or genre would you put the Hong Kong Cavaliers in?
I was first just taken back with his signature spin moves as he's walking up to the stage. Mm-hmm. He always spins to the left. He gave us 2 good spins, and then he gets up there, and then was it Perfect Tommy? Was it Perfect Tommy? Perfect Tommy. He gives us a spin again to the left, and then we get a couple more spins from him, a little bit of a solo, and then he starts breaking out the miniature trumpet. And God damn it,
yes,
it's just like, you know what? Are you happy to see me, Buckaroo? No, I have a miniature trumpet in my pocket. And then I just thought that was the funniest damn thing over all that noise. Like, stop. Who's crying?
The Peter Weller is a really good pianist, and so is Jeff Goldblum. So a lot of them did have musical talent. Let's just talk about Jeff Goldblum's character. He's so funny.
It was very Goldbloomy deliveries.
Yes,
on those lines.
Extremely Goldbloomy.
Nothing's changed.
Well, I like him because he's like the outsider, and all the stuff that he's seeing is kind of like what the audience is seeing. And David mentioned at the beginning when they have the thing that they can breathe in and see the electrodes for what they are. When he goes back and he sees John Parker behind him, just his reaction, so fucking funny. He was just kind of like, kind of covering his eyes a little bit, when he sees him.
It made him forget his mantra.
Yeah, Goldblum always brings that Goldblum energy.
I'm not getting anything for that reference.
That was from Annie Hall, I remember. I forgot my mantra. Mm-hmm. And I like the electroids that they could spit like a little creature that would kill you, like attached to your back or your whatever. They hit you and they would like literally launch you like 10 feet away, and they would just spit it out.
Yeah, that poor mechanic, man. All he wanted to do was work on the jet F-350.
Yeah, I mean, I just the president is in traction for some reason.
He's got back problems.
but they don't explain why or anything. He's just in traction.
Yeah. This weird, like, oh my God, yes.
The president's on the phone for you.
The president of what?
The United States.
Oh. God, I wrote this one down because it was I paused it to write this one down. Rawhide. Dr. Banzai is using a laser to vaporize a pineal tumor without damaging the parthogenital plate. A subcutaneous microphone will allow the patient to transmit verbal instructions to his own brain, like raise my left arm or throw harpoon. People are going to come from all over. The boy's an Eskimo. I didn't even remember that from the times I've seen it. I'm like, what the fuck?
I know there's so many little character quirks going on.
Running around with those 6-shooters, just like strapping them on like Gene Autry. So good.
And like when Penny tries to shoot herself at the bar and her hand gets knocked, and like everybody's packing all the Hong Kong Cavaliers like are packing and pulling all their guns and stuff. It's amazing.
Oh. I'm a diplomat. I failed flight school.
It drives just like a truck. Great. What's a truck? I love Christopher. The Jung Big Butte we had so much disdain for John Warfin. He's got so.
He's always put out.
I know he's in his just John Big Booty. Use more honey. He's putting.
You see what she knows.
Yeah, the just the design of the spaceships and stuff like that, like the pod that the black electroids were in, and the pod that they're flying around at the end. It's just kind of a weird, not like any other starships you've ever seen or spaceships. It's kind of a weird organic looking kind of thing going on.
I like it. Just looked like they took like a dune buggy frame and did like a spray foam all over it. Like, all right, sit down. We got to get a little gooey.
I like the fact that Buckaroo Banzai is so well known and so popular. He has a legion of volunteer helpers around the country. The Blue Blazer regulars who are just waiting to help him. That they're just listening to CB radios and stuff like that, and they're going to bail him out.
And how they miss like 500 red lectoids, but the racists get the one black lectoid. They sure jump on him.
He falls off and hits his head. Yeah. Did you notice the cool Sony boombox that New Jersey had
at
the beginning? Oh man, that was so cool looking. It had the speakers that kind of flipped up. That was some vintage 80s stuff. That's another thing I love about the movie. It is so 80s. Just the fashions and
the suit jackets and the collars,
big shoulder pads, skinny ties. It's extremely 80s. Love it. What was the weird pipe that the other John had when they went to go look at the pod that crashed? It was like a weird little bong looking thing that Vincent Chiavelli's smoking out of. Did you notice that when they were...
I did, but I don't know.
It was so bizarre. And the idea that War of the Worlds was real, that everybody in Trenton, New Jersey was red electoids that happened to land there, and they had to go get their social security cards, and everybody's name is John.
Well, it took forever to realize that everybody's name was John. They're like going through the list for like 2 minutes. Wait a second. Everybody's name is John.
That's statistically impossible.
That's statistically impossible.
Look, Dave enjoyed part of the movie. He's smiling and laughing.
There's nope, it didn't happen.
There was no wheezing point of view killer with lame ass gloves in this. We have to have some standards.
Well, the thing, I mean, this movie would go viral now if like it was sent out in this time where there's so many nerds out there. Like nerd culture was just not as big as it is now. Like they try to market this. They didn't know how to market this movie. They had no idea how to do it. So they did it at Star Trek conventions where they would show people bits of the movie and try to hype it up. But they didn't really have any other advertising except for the trailers, Star Trek conventions, and in comic books. There's really not much other marketing they could do because it was such a hard sell to say, hey, this is what this movie is, because they couldn't really explain it.
I saw it in comic books.
Yeah, that's the way same here. I saw it in comic books as well.
And it was I remember being in Farmington for like maybe a weekend, and then it just kind of disappeared.
Yeah, because at the same time, Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and one other big movie all came out the same week. So it really got buried, and it only opened in 243 theaters initially when it first came out. So it kind of got buried.
I think I know why Dave is so upset about this. What's right here in the notes? We talk about John Warfin. We talk about the attack on Banzai headquarters, that they spit the weird creatures. And then you realized you have so much in common with the lectoids because you and they can fit in small holes.
Well, I like that part where he's standing there and all of a sudden you see him like running away, and the hole in the door is like super tiny, like a cat could fit.
Just his foot.
His foot's coming through it. I love that that general was like, I'm barely holding my fudge right now.
That's right. That's so great. And just the bizarre. I'm not trying to kink shame, but the lectoids had some pent up shit when they were torturing Penny.
Yeah, they were like putting honey on her with ants, and then they had that weird creature that was on a little board that was like crawling towards her. That was really weird looking. And it's like, don't touch that. And he picks it up and he throws it away. Throws it away. It makes a weird little like crying sound.
So good.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yo-Yo Labs. I like that. John Big Booty just hates John Warfrin. The way they were torturing poor Buckaroo as well. Just this movie is amazing, David.
I hated this movie.
You know what? And you know what bugged me as a kid, and it still kind of bugged me because I'd forgotten about it. It's like, how the fuck do you do math on a miniature keyboard like that? Are the white keys the positive numbers? The black keys are negative numbers. It's like you can enter your answers here. It's just it's like a little chunk of a Casio keyboard.
Mm-hmm. I thought when they were doing the production design, they had like Rawhide had a little Sony Watchman, and he's like talking to it like he was taking notes or something like that. And I remember a kid at school had a Sony Watchman, and I was so damn jealous of it until I realized you really couldn't do shit with it. All I got was over the air TV, and it was in black and white. There was really nothing to it. It was very simple, and like it was so freaking expensive back in the day, but it was seemingly cool at that point. But it was so tiny.
And now we're rolling around with Apple Watches.
Yeah, Apple Watches and phones and stuff like that. I mean, that is one of the things I really love about the movie. Is just it's so 80s. It's so pre-internet. So, although they do use the internet to hack into Yo-Yo Labs and the Trenton DMV, because I saw the modem, the old school phone modem.
Yeah, he plugs that thing in, and then all of a sudden asks if it wants to play a game of chess or global thermonuclear war, and then everything goes to shit.
That movie, War Games, was the first time I ever became even aware that you could do that with a computer, that there was modems and things like that. I was completely unaware of that.
Oh, yeah, it happens all the time. As a matter of fact, I got an email from this poor guy in Nigeria that they ended up hacking and locking up all of his money. And just for like a few $1,000s, I could pay the legal fees to unlock his account. And he's got millions. He's totally willing to share.
Or if you buy a bunch of Google gift cards or iTunes gift cards and give him the numbers, then he'll get out.
Yeah, it seems legit.
Yeah, I'm afraid of my parents falling for scams like that. They're just going to do that. I know they are. I know it. This movie has two things that are awesome. The tease for Against the World Crime League, which as a kid, this movie came out, I was 11, and I really had no idea, how movies got greenlit or anything like that. So I just always thought and hoped that the Buckaroo Banzai Against the World Crime League would come out. And it wasn't until later I'm like, oh, it didn't make any money. That's why it never came out. And I was like, damn, I really wanted to see that. And at the end, the credits are freaking awesome when they're all walking kind of in unison. In the way it's done and the music and stuff like that, they look all cool and stuff. I thought that was pretty awesome.
I will say the cover to the Buckaroo Banzai book is pretty cool.
The one for Against the World Crime League?
Yeah. No, I'm on Amazon. I'm on Amazon right now. That shit's in the cart.
Oh, really? Cool. You have to let me know if it's good. I'm excited. That's pretty damn awesome. Well, David, final thoughts on, did we change your mind at all talking about this movie? No. No desire to see it again?
I won't see it again. Me, I don't know. I mean, all the jokes and the laughing, like the stupid jokes reminds me of a lot of the movies that I love, but I guess I just couldn't, it dropped you right in. It was pure chaos. And I miss a lot of the good jokes. There was some stuff that made me laugh, but I would say there's a 1 in 10 chance I'll watch this again.
So it's not a no.
It's not a no. At the beginning, I thought it was a no, but now it's not a no. So maybe
Yeah, it's a one.
we
It's a
swayed
1
you.
in 10.
Yeah.
Swayed you a little
Yeah.
bit.
All right,
guys
so
did
I'm
good-
looking at
Good job selling
this. Good, well, amazing job selling it. I could get this. I have audiobook credits because I listen to audiobooks during my commute. I could get this as an audiobook,
Oh,
or I
sweet.
could get it as a paperback. So I don't know, because the book I'm listening to now is like 60 hours, and I don't think I've got enough time to actually do that. And I really want to fucking hear this book. Yeah, I've still got like 32 hours and 47 minutes left on my book that I'm listening to during my commute.
Oh my God. I didn't know that 50 Shades of Grey was that long.
Yeah.
They sound out the big words.
Yeah. It's
So
longer.
it takes a little bit. Yeah, they have to. There's a lot of phrases and things got to get defined, and it's just hard to say.
What book are you listening to that's 60 hours long?
Wind and Truth. So I got roped in years and years and years and years and years ago. I was stuck in an airport and I bought a book called The Way of Kings, and it's like a giant sci-fi series. And I started getting into that kind of lengthy series. I got the Robert Jordan The Wheel of Time novels, and there was like 400 million of those, and I wanted to see it all the way through. And so I read the whole thing, and I picked it up because it was kind of thick, and I knew I would be stuck for hours and hours and hours. I think I was in Tokyo at the time, and I knew I would be stuck in the airport, and I had the book and read it, and then realized it was a series. And then this last one just came out, and it's like 60 hours. So I'd read all the others. I'm like, well, screw this. I can just listen to it while I'm commuting. And there's going to be like 10 of these books. And apparently he's written like a bunch more, all based in the same universe. So I'm just going to see this through and then probably never read another one. But it's one of those things.
I really need to read more. I feel like I'm getting dumber by the moment. I read a lot of the news articles and magazines and like nonfiction books, but I haven't read any fiction in a long while, and I feel like my brain is atrophying because I'm not really reading.
Dude, I have the entire collected works of Robert Jordan, short stories and novels for Conan. Quality stuff. You should get that.
Robert Howard, you mean?
Robert, what did I say?
Jordan.
Oh, Robert Jordan. Yeah, I'm still thinking about Robert Jordan writing The Wheel of Time. Super good.
Nice. Well, that is Buckaroo Banzai. I don't know if Dave, Dave, we sold Dave, but maybe we sold you, and you probably have already seen it if you're listening to this podcast. But
There's
it is
no
one
chance in hell they've seen this movie.
It is one of the quintessential cult movies of the 80s.
We have 4 listeners. Do you think all 4 of them, by chance, are like, oh yeah?
Have you seen the Wikipedia article for this movie? It is lovingly curated with like 70 sources. A movie is a cult following if you read the Wikipedia page, and it's like a nonfiction book. It's just full of citations and quotes, and I mean, people love this movie. This is a big cult movie. You may have not, you may not have heard of it. The people who love it really love it.
I think that maybe we could ask all 4 listeners to maybe email and just say if they've seen this or not prior to, if you two morons convince them to watch this, because what are the chance all 4 of them are sitting at a table and they're like, yeah, seen it too, love it,
Loved it. Buckaroo Banzai, boom.
If you have seen Buckaroo Banzai and you enjoyed it, send us an email, rvspodcast222@gmail.com, or send us a message on Blue Sky or on Instagram or on Facebook. We're there. So send us a message that whether or not you've seen Buckaroo Banzai.
If you have not seen it and you're listening, then shut your whore mouth and don't give Dave the satisfaction.
Yeah, this movie is amazing. It's so good. Next week, we're going to do something we haven't done in a long while, is watch a martial arts film. We're going to watch Kickboxer from 1989 with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh, it just keeps getting better.
Wham, bam, Van Damme. Let's go.
Yeah. February is pretty fantasy heavy. I don't know, David, if you like Lord of the Rings or not, because we're going to be watching 2 of them, 2 of the 3.
Not going to happen.
And we're going to do Dragon Slayer, which I know Neil loves.
Dude, that movie's I got great memories of that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Great memories.
And we're going to do an amazing animated fantasy movie, Princess Mononoke, from Studio Ghibli. So it's going to get pretty nerdy in February.
We're going to be riding nerdy. Nerdy.
David, you need to get on the nerd bus. You got to get on the nerd bus.
No, not going to happen.
Get ready
I want to point out, of the 3 people who are doing this podcast right now, okay, we're throwing the term nerd around, but I want to say, when we're done recording, and I curl up tonight in bed, I will be there next to a woman. How about you, Eric?
Yes.
Okay. Just saying. Talk all the shit you want, Dave.
I will be with any woman I want tonight in my brain. And then I'm going to sleep peacefully right after that, 5 to 10 minutes of just furious thought. I will sleep like a baby.
All right. Well, join us next week for Kickboxer.
5 to 10 minutes, you fucking liar.
It's the sound of one hand clapping for about 30 seconds. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Nobody knows David better than David. Everybody have a good week.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to the Retro Video Store Podcast.